Growing up in the Southwest, I knew that we were different. Spain and Latin America shaped our culture. We ate different foods and even used different words and expressions than in other parts of the US. For over 20 years, I have studied the impact of Spain on the indigenous and colonial Americas. I posed questions, and answers started to come in the form of lives, forgotten lives that shaped the history of our continent. Let's begin. Today's question is, when did U.S. history really begin? Many say 1620 with the Mayflower, but what if it started more than 100 years earlier? In 1513, Spain sent Juan Ponce de León to what is now Florida. Some at the time spoke of a fountain of youth deep in the peninsula, able to keep those who tasted it eternally young. But Ponce de León's goals were much more practical. Like the sons of many lower-level Spanish nobles, he wanted to lead the settlement of a territory and claim part of the income it generated. The Chronicle of Ponce de León's travels by Antonio de Herrera in Tordesillas tells that he spotted the peninsula in 1513 on Easter, naming all that he saw La Isla de la Pascua Florida. The name of La Florida stuck, although for Juan Ponce de León and the Spanish, the name referred to all the continent, north and west from that point, including everything that became the United States. In 1513, Ponce de León could only name and claim, as he did not have official permission to invade or settle. 8 years later, he returned with that permission from King Charles V. Planning to establish a Spanish town, this time he brought settlers to farm, tradespeople to build, animals, and seeds. Of course, Ponce de León would have liked to invade unopposed, but the Florida Peninsula was home to several indigenous groups. One of them, the Calusa, were not ready to give the invaders an inch. They met him on the beach and even spoke Spanish words to him that they had heard while trading in Cuba and other islands in the Caribbean. The Calusa lived in lowlands next to the Gulf that were rich in seafood. Their high-protein diet made them much taller than the Spanish crewmen who came with Ponce de León. They towered over the Spanish and fought with deadly accuracy. After hundreds of years in the region, the Calusa were used to the muggy, swampy conditions. They outmaneuvered the Spanish in every combat situation. Guns and swords did the invaders little good. By the time a Spaniard reloaded, the Calusa warriors sent showers of well-aimed darts and arrows into their ranks. One arrow, that was probably poisoned, wounded Juan Ponce de León in the thigh. He landed ready to settle with more than 200 fighting men, but the Calusa took 80 of them in that battle. Ponce de León and the rest of his crew fled to Cuba, where he soon died of that leg wound. Although trying to take Florida cost him his life, his failed expedition marks the first attempts by Europeans to settle what would later become the United States. So why does this matter? We often frame U.S. history as if it began with its English roots, but long before Plymouth Rock, indigenous and Spanish histories were already shaping this land. Spanish, not English, was the first European language spoken here. The Calusa who met Ponce de León on the beach knew that all too well. And that's worth remembering when we talk about immigration today. Soon, another Spanish-speaking migrant would walk across the continent from Tampa Bay in Florida to Colima on the Mexican coast of the Pacific. But that's a reel for another day. Maybe you're from Florida or the Southeast and you've wondered about these topics. Today, many voices flood digital and legacy media with competing messages about the history of the Americas. My goal here is to bring a fresh perspective on the past. If Forgotten Lives of Latin America interest you, then like and follow me and subscribe to my YouTube channel in the bio. And if you'd like to read more, try La Florida, 500 Years of Hispanic Presence, edited by Viviana Diaz-Balcera and Rachel May, and Jack Davis's Gulf, The Making of an American Sea.